Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Daily News, everyday news, breaking news on Prince Miller Entertainment TV. Subscribe to the channel, follow us on all our social media platforms: Instagram, Prince Miller Entertainment; Facebook, Prince Miller Entertainment; Facebook group, Prince Miller Entertainment TV. We are also available on Twitter. It's P Miller ENT. Follow us on Twitter when you follow back. And today is the 2nd of December 2021. So yesterday we talked about quarantine for all people visiting Zimbabwe this holiday season, and so the government has clarifies quarantine measures, and the new 10-day quarantine requirements for returning residents and visitors and the 9-hour extended curfew were gazetted yesterday, along with the legal backing for the present policies that bar alcohol sales to the unvaccinated at bars and nightclubs. Statutory Instrument 267 of 2021 was gazetted through the Ministry of Health, Childcare as required in the Public Health Act. The new regulations stipulate that everyone entering Zimbabwe must undergo a COVID-19 PCR test, even where returnees or visitors produce a COVID-19 free certificate from elsewhere. And then even if negative, they should go into mandatory quarantine at their own cost in a facility designated by the government. The relevant section states that all returning residents and visitors have to undergo PCR testing, notwithstanding that they present a PCR negative test from elsewhere, and those found to be negative will be quarantined at their own cost for 10 days. Those found positive have to be isolated in an isolation center, which is the present position. Until yesterday, those who were negative on the test would enter the country without further fuss. There's some flexibility on where the returning residents or visitors can be quarantined, and self-quarantine is permitted, but the premises needs to be approved in advance. A returning resident or a visitor found to be negative for COVID-19 may self-quarantine at any premises cleared for the purpose in advance by an enforcement officer acting on the instructions of the Ministry of for Health. The new measures are part of an array of interventions announced by President Mnangagwa on Tuesday, meant to strengthen the country's response to the COVID-19 pandemic in light of the new Omicron variant, which could spread a fourth wave of infections. Other measures cited in the SI include an extension to the curfew, the previous curfew, the result of modest relaxation as the third wave was at 10 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. It now runs from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. The legal ban on the consumption of liquor at bottle store has been reinstated, as is the ban on the sale of alcohol to unvaccinated patrons at nightclubs and bars, the limiting of business hours to between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., and the enforcement of World Health Organization protocols of face masks, temperature checks, and hand sanitizing, and also social distancing. Although the statutory instrument, which was gazetted yesterday, took effect immediately, the reports on social media that returnees at Bedbridge border post were already being sent to quarantine even before the SIL1 was gazetted were false. The authorities at Bedbridge yesterday were still using the previous regulations, and travelers with valid PCR test certificates were passing through the port of entry without any hassles after undergoing strict screening at the port health section. Bedbridge District Medical Officer Dr. Linus Samere said the new rules would come into force once the details were officially communicated. Under the current setup, visitors and returning residents are expected to produce a PCR COVID-19 clearance certificate valid for not more than 48 hours for ordinary travelers, 2 weeks for cross-border transporters, and 30 days for truck drivers. Those who turn up without a valid test or with a fake certificate are referred to the Bedbridge Transit, Quarantine and Isolation Center, located at the National Social Security Authority building for testing. However, Zimbabweans deported home are tested and also sent into mandatory quarantine, since they would be coming from highly concentrated and crowded holding places. Madebelen South Provincial Medical Director Dr. Rudo Chikodzore reiterated that returnees were being sent to the quarantine center for tests rather than quarantine, as some wrongly suggest. From the onset, when we set up our COVID-19 response in 2020, a multidisciplinary team comprising the Ministry of Health and Child Care, the Ministry of Social Welfare, and other relevant ministries were set up based the quarantine center to ease congestion at the border. But because we have been seeing an increased number of people coming in, PCR testing is being done at the quarantine center at NASA building. So if someone comes and needs a PCR test, they are referred to the quarantine center. Therefore, those being sent to the quarantine center are in the meantime being sent there to get additional services in line with the COVID-19 country protocols. She said a total of 21,660 Zimbabweans returning from Eswatini, Lesotho, and South Africa by road have passed through the center since March 2020. So guys, that's the latest here regarding to nyaya quarantine. And so 10 days extra days that munhu wese and everyone who is coming to Zimbabwe should be quarantined for 10 days pakaipa, and which is like a week and 3 days. Whether you produce a PCR test negative or a positive, munhu wese akutoenda ku quarantine. So many people won't be traveling to Zimbabwe because no one wants to be quarantined for 10 days. Everything will be on you, which means that you'll be paying for your food, for your stay, for whatever. You'll be paying out of your pockets. And so they are trying by all means to make sure that this new variant doesn't spread in Zimbabwe. So these are some of the measures that the government have introduced. In the comment section, this is daily news, everyday news on breaking news on Prince Miller Entertainment TV. And again, we're gonna see a number of people crossing to Zimbabwe illegally because no one wants to quarantine. Now witness more arrests happening and this December because munwese achanga chaenda ku Zimbabwe, but at the end of the day no one will want to go to quarantine. So we're gonna see also many roadblocks along Harare Masvingo highway here. Makazama roadblocks, the police and health authorities checking with vanhu vari quarantine here kana kuti vangopfuura paborder. Saka we're gonna see a lot of commotion along the highway, but to keep you guys informed here on daily news, on breaking news on Prince Miller Entertainment TV. So which means that beer arichatengesere munhu asiri vaccinated, so you need to be vaccinated for you to go and buy beer pa bottle store, and on-site drinking here haichabvumidzwe, which means that you need to buy your beer unonywira uri kumba. And again, curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. this festive season. So hakuna ma late parties, hakuna kurara rubawa. 8 o'clock ufana kunge watopa 10 because 9 o'clock inenge ya curfew. So guys, this is our daily news, everyday news, breaking news on Prince Miller Entertainment TV. We'll keep you guys informed pakatika any new information, but this is the current situation, this is the new normal, and it's very difficult to travel. It's so difficult to travel because with these restrictions, no one wants to spend a lot of money. Zimbabwe, no one wants to do that. So remember guys to like, share and comment. Thank you very much for listening and watching daily news, everyday news, breaking news on Prince Miller Entertainment TV. We'll keep you guys up to date here on this channel. Bless up.